Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. And today we are going to talk about SSPR feature, that is Azure Active Directory self-service password reset. And if you remember, in the last video we discussed about the MFA and their implementation with the help of some conditional access policies. Even though the conditional access policy, we will discuss it in the upcoming video as well. So if you have not watched that video, you can take the link from the description box and watch the same from there. As well as if you want to watch this entire complete series, the playlist is mentioned in the description box, so you can take the list from there. So let's begin and take a look what we are going to talk about. Azure AD self-service password reset. What exactly it is? Azure AD self-service password reset is the feature that helps you to reset a password without any intervention of administrators or help desk. Like user can reset their password by themselves. So this is the functionality that is available as a feature with Microsoft Azure Active Directory. That will helps you to reset your own password. So you can reset your own password without any intervention of administrator or any help desk or anyone else. So suppose user forgot their password, or if they lock their account, they have a ability to unlock or reset their password without calling help desk. So what would be the benefit? There would be two benefits. One is you do not require any administrator. You do not require admin overhead or admin effort. This will reduce the number of calls at help desk, number of tickets that have been created just to reset the password or unlock the password. So this is the one benefit. The another benefit is that users productivity loss. Like if suppose my password is blocked, or I forgot my password, now I need to reset my password. I will raise a ticket. It will go to the service desk. There is a TAT, or we can say SLA, or turnaround time is 24 hours. So maybe it can take up to 24 hours. You have to wait for the next 24 hours. Might be ticket get resolved or addressed within 8 hours, 10 hours, or it can up go 23 hours. So in such of the situations, user will lose these productive hours. Like I need to be stay idle till the time my password get reset. So this loss we can prevent with the help of SSPR as well. So we can see users can reset the password, their own password, they can reset it with the help of SSPR feature. It will reduce the loss of user productivity. Yes, definitely. As I mentioned over here, if you remember, like it will prevent user productivity loss. Whenever we are going for the SSPR, the first prerequisite is you must have to enroll for the SSPR feature, and there are certain ways to authenticate your identity as well. For example, if the MFA is enabled, okay, you can confirm your identity by using an one-time password, by using an code on another alternate ID, by using a phone call. So all those methods you have to verify your identity, and once you verify your identity, you can able to reset your password as well. And this is the same thing we are doing it for normal public services as well. For example, if I am using a Gmail account, if I forgot my password, when I click on a forgot password, and if I already enrolled my phone number with Gmail account, what exactly happened? I will be receiving a code in my Gmail account. With the help of that code, I am able to reset my password. So the enrollment is pre-required. Once you enroll for the SSPR feature, you can able to reset the password. Whereas the no admin IT intervention is required. If you are not registered or not enrolled for the SSPR, obviously you have to go through with the admin intervention or service desk, and they will reset your password. Reduce the help desk effort. Yes, definitely the calls will be reduced, and you need not to get raise a ticket for the same, for the SSPR. Sorry, it's just clicked away. Okay, you need not to raise a ticket to reset your password, and that will reduce the effort for service desk as well. The basic requirement, or we can say the pre-requirement, the required licensing. So what exactly the license requirement is? We required either P1 or a P2 license for Azure AD. This is a prerequisite. For the free licensing, you cannot enroll for self-service password reset. For SSPR, it's a premium service. You have to purchase a P1 or a P2 license for Azure AD. If you have not gone through my video, you can take the second part of the same series where we talked about the licensings. So for the more details, if you want to see. So in the Azure AD, either we require a P1 or P2 license to get this feature enabled with the user identity or any user account. To enable the SSPR, what we have to do, we have to go to the configuration section. In the manage, we have a properties section. Here we have a password reset properties available. You can see this is the password reset properties. Once you open this password reset, here none is there. That is the default setting. You have to go with the selected one. This is a recommended approach, because if I put it for the all that require a license, P1 or P2, so it's normally in the organization it's not always it's giving to everyone this feature. So whenever you assign a user as a P1 or a P2 license, then you can put it in the selected section. For the selected option, it's better. You can just select a selected area, create a group. It's a better strategy to implement the same. Create a group, assign the feature to that particular group, and user who is having P1 or P2 license, enroll them for the SSPR and add them in this particular group. So the user who are the member of this particular group, they will automatically get the SSPR feature enabled with their account. I will show you how we can do it at the portal. Here you can see there are certain SSPR licensing options that are available from the Microsoft. So the cloud only users change the password when user. This is the situation for the Azure AD free licensing. Whereas if you have a business standard, business premium, or Azure P1 or a P2 license, then you will be getting a password reset and the write back feature as well for the on-prem. So this is the situation once you have a hybrid environment. If you have seen, we discussed about in the initial the various type of authentications, whereas we have a cloud only and the hybrid authentication as well. So in the case of if you have a hybrid environment, then the password management is basically handled by on-prem server. Like the password is synced from the on-prem to cloud. This is the situation. If you have not seen this series, you can watch the previous video where we talk about the various authentication methods. And in the hybrid authentication method, we have to sync password and the user account from on-prem to cloud, or the password is exist on the on-prem only, for example a federated or a pass-through authentication. So in all those situations, the user identity and their password is always exist on the on-prem. So what exactly happen if I'm trying to utilize this SSPR feature? This will gives you a functionality to reset your password, but you are connecting to Azure Active Directory. So in this situation, we have an option of password write back. So the password write back is a feature that helps you to write the updated password to on-prem from the cloud. Normally the sync strategy is working a one way from on-prem to cloud. The Azure AD Connect that helps to sync data from on-prem to cloud, and that is a one-way syncing. But we have a feature, it's called as password write back, and if we enable this functionality, then with the help of during an SSPR implementation on the cloud, what exactly happened from on-premises, my user identity is synced to the cloud even though the password exists here. So what when user is trying to utilize this functionality SSPR and trying to reset their password, what exactly happened? The Azure AD will write back the password that you will update it through the portal. It will update that password to on-prem as well. So this feature is known as a write back functionality that you can also enable it while you are setting up your hybrid environment, and if you have a SSPR as a feature and the licensing availability. But this feature is only supported if you have a Microsoft 365 Business Premium, or we can say a Enterprise Premium. As this is the minimum requirement from the 365, the Business Premium. Whereas Azure AD and Premium P1 and the P2 account, that will if we have Azure AD Premium P1 or P2, that also we can utilize it to set up SSPR functionality. Okay, so always remember this part. First identify whatever the business requirement, accordingly you purchase the license, and once you have a license available you can set up the SSPR configuration. Okay, let's take a look over here. What we have here, we can see there's a configuration of deployment of self-service password reset. To deploy the same, you have to go to the properties of the SSPR and create a group and set it up the same. So what we are going to do it, let me just quickly launch the window portal. Okay, in the portal, once you go to the Azure Active Directory, in the Azure Active Directory, as a recommended approach, first create a group and then set up that group for the SSPR enrollment. So I'm going to do the same way. I'm just going to click on the group, going to create a new group over here. It's a security group, and that is for the SSPR users. Anything, you can take the name as per its requirement. Role not required, membership must be assigned. So if I'm going to take it, a couple of users whom I'm just going to assign this. Sorry, I think I did selected the owners. You make to ensure that you must have a user who all are the part of the same service. So, or we can say they must have a license available with them. If they do not have a license, this feature will not work for them. So now I have created this group. If I go, you can see the user group is created. As a next step, or we can say a primary step that we have to do it, we have to go to the password reset in Azure Active Directory. Here it's not set up. Here we can see it's asking me to set up the two-factor authentication. That is a pre-requirement. So let me just click on that, and I will select this group, select the group, and click on the save. This setting only applies to end users in the organization. Admins are always enabled for the self-service password reset and required to use the two-factor authentication method to reset their password. So always be remember, it will be depend on the MFA, and the MFA feature that must be enabled. So you have to make sure the user whom you are enrolling, they must have a two-factor authentication enabled for them. Let me just quickly go to the users and see whomsoever I assign this feature. This is the user identity. I can reset the password, set up the same things. If you have not enabled the MFA, you must enable it. If you want to watch how to do that, the authentication and methods and all, so you can take my previous video link where I talked about MFA and their implementations. If you want to see the user licensing, you can also check it from the same way. Go to the users, and from the user, need to just double check and ensure you must have an appropriate license assigned to this identity. So licenses are there. That is already a premium license E5 user is having. So you can utilize the or this user can register themselves for SSPR feature and the functionality, or they can utilize the same. Make sure they first register themselves through a phone call or or an email to an alternate email ID. Then only they can able to access it. So these are the methods through which you can or users can reset their password. To enable this is the only thing you have to do. You have to just go to the password reset and select. In the selection, you can click on here and add the groups, whatever you want to select it. If I select it all, that again required a specific permission licensing, so that is not a recommended approach for the organization prospects, because you are not going to assign the password to everyone, license to everyone, same license in the organization. Let's move ahead from there and plan for the security defaults. What exactly the security defaults are there? When we talk about security defaults, so Microsoft 365, or we can say an Azure Active Directory, that have certain built-in configuration settings and the features that Microsoft placed as a security defaults. Like that would be by default enabled once you enable these or enforce these security defaults. So it has a set of policies that are automatically applied in your tenant, like in your organization infrastructure. So this will be automatically applied to the environment user identities or system identities. So what exactly the benefit is that? The benefit is that you need not to explicitly set up certain things. This security default will ensure that you must not fail to authenticate or fail to manage those security prospects or the security methodologies, strategies that has been offered by Microsoft. So this will be a default configuration that has been offered. Microsoft defines certain strategies, certain methods, or certain recommendation details. So whenever you enable these security defaults, what exactly happen? It will enable like MFA configuration settings. So the certain things are there that Microsoft configurations will be automatically applied. Will be automatically applied to your environment. How and what are the things that we will be getting? Let me quickly show you the same. Okay, so we can say that on the behalf of your organization, Microsoft is basically handling or managing the various security configurations for your organization to keep it safe and secure for the organization. So what exactly happen once you enable the security default? What exactly happen? It's basically if you enable it, require users to MFA. This is the one thing that Microsoft by default enable it. You have to register, all the users have to register multi-factor authentication. They have to perform, administrator must have to perform the multi-factor authentication while they are logging. Without authentication, they can multi-factor authentication, they won't be able to log in. It also block the certain legacy authentication protocols, like your older protocols that are not supported by Microsoft, some of the applications. So all those things you will be blocked for the same. Like the Kerberos will continue to work, but the older NTLM and all that are getting blocked. And whenever the users, Microsoft analyze that if you are logging from a risky locations, your location is getting frequently changed for the login, Microsoft may ask for the multi-factor authentication to the users so they can authenticate yourself or the particular user while they are trying to access the various services. Okay, when it's recommended, or the type of organization, it's recommended to enable the security defaults. Who should use the security defaults? The organization that want to increase their security posture but don't know how and where to start. This is the basic thing. If you are not aware about that, what are the security things I need to apply, what are the policies that I need to apply, set up configuration, then you can simply take it this way. And it is only recommended once you have a cloud only setup, then it's recommended to apply this. Because if you have a hybrid environment and immediately you are applying that without proper analysis, maybe it will block a lot of services, or it will hamper the work for the users productivity as well. And if you are using only a free tier if you are using a free tier services for the Azure Active Directory, then you can utilize this, the free tier of Azure AD, or we can say Azure Active Directory licensing. If you are using a P1 P2, you have a more flexibility, you can utilize those P1 P2 features along with this security defaults configurations. So it's better you can implement it by using yourself. Like, who should not use the security default? If you have organization is having Azure premium licensing, so you have a more options, more security features, and more flexibilities that are available. So it's better you can set up the organization in that way instead of using a default one. Still, if you are not aware, you can utilize the same functionality or same features. Whereas if you have a complex security requirement, like the conditional access, certain defined user, or we can say custom defined policies, etc. So in those situations, you can also utilize the conditional P1 P2 utilization of licenses, and you must configure that manually instead of using a Microsoft security defaults. And it's always recommended, if you have a conditional access policies or the custom configuration is in place, or if you have a complex environment like the hybrid setup and all, you must not use the default security defaults that are offered by Microsoft. You must set up those configurations independently for the environment. To enable the security defaults, what you have to do, it's just a single option that you have to do it, or you have to click and set up the same. Let me quickly move to the portal, and then I will show you how we can set up the security defaults. Okay. To set up the security defaults configuration, you have to go to the Microsoft Azure Active Directory portal. So in this portal, if I go to the home page of this Azure Active Directory, you have to go to the properties. If you have seen that in the last video, we discussed about the last few parts when we discussed about the tenant properties, where's the location of the data center, countries, everything is there. Whereas there's the last option, you can see it here, the manage security defaults. When I click on this manage security defaults, I will be getting an option yes and no setup. So if I select it yes, it can be enabled, and it looks like you have a custom conditional access policy is enabled, because I have created a policy, the conditional access policy. That's why this warning is there. If I want to set up yes, I can save it from here, but I just wanted to know it right now because I don't want to set up this to make the changes in this tenant. So otherwise you can simply click on yes and just save it if it is not there, but we already have a custom policy set up. That's why it's giving me a warning and error message. So let me just close it back and show you. Because of that, it's giving me this warning. Otherwise I can directly enable it from the here if you do not have some custom configuration is in place. So if I go to the Azure Active Directory and see the conditional access policies that we have set up over here. So this one is the policy for Contoso device campaigning policy, something which I created earlier. So that is the reason. If it is not there, then I can able to enable it directly. The simple method, just go to the your tenant configuration. In the properties, you have a manage security default as an option. That will enforce all of those features like the multi-factor authentication, risky sign-in detections, certain algorithms and the strategies that has been placed by Microsoft that you will be getting, and you can set up those, or we can say a pre-setup on the from the Microsoft on your organization as a security configuration posters. So this is all about, we were talking about the SSPR and the security defaults that we are discussing. So we can configure it in this way, in these two security things. In the next video, we will talk about conditional access policies in the more details, as we have discussed at the initial phase or initial discussion related to Microsoft Azure Active Directory conditional access policy. So we can take a long discussion in the upcoming video in the more details. So thank you so much for watching this video, and if you have not subscribed this channel, you can subscribe it. And the entire series list for Azure Beginners to Professional is mentioned in the description box. If you have not watched those, you may also go and refer the other video links as well. Thank you so much.